Almost every culture has marched to the beat of its own drum. Drums have been part of different civilizations for thousands of years. The earliest drum shells were hollowed out logs or gourds. Different sizes created different sounds. Today, drum shells are more sophisticated, but the beat goes on. To make drum shells, an enormous rock maple log is sliced into several boards. Maple is ideal for making drum shells because its hardness allows sound to resonate fully. Each of these maple boards will be transformed into one drum shell. The boards are fed to a ripsaw, which cuts them to the correct width. This varies depending on the size of drum being made. Then each board goes into a planer, which shaves it thinner. The board is aligned with markings on a saw table. This positions the board to be cut to the correct length. A radial arm saw does the job neatly. Now, each board is sized up in preparation for tapering. They're placed at an angle in a jig. Then the end is moved against a router to taper it. It takes a few passes to get it just right. The taper needs to be about 15 centimeters long. The other end of the board is thinned to the same dimension. These tapered ends will make it easier to bend the wood into a drum shape later. They also act as scarf joints, which will fasten the ends of the boards together when it's bent round. The board needs to be softened, so it's placed in a steam box for about an hour. It's now pliable enough to wind around a hot cylindrical form. Steel banding secures the board to the bending form, where it will spend 10 to 15 minutes. The ends are prized apart, and glue is applied between the tapered tips. Then the shim that was holding the ends apart is removed so they stick together. A wooden guard is placed over the glued joint. This nylon mesh band is a clamp. It's wrapped around the drum shell, and a screw is turned to pull the band tightly around the wood until it reaches 35.5 centimeters in diameter. Then, more than a dozen steel clamps are fastened onto the joint. All these clamps will prevent any gaps from occurring in the joint as the glue sets overnight. With the joint sealed, the drum shell now spins, while a cutter shaves down the edges to make it a true round shell. Another cutter bores into the shell, making a smooth edge and rounding the inside. The drum shell is turned around so it can be cut from another angle. As the shell spins, a high-speed cutter shaves the outside from top to bottom. This makes the surface very smooth. It takes about a week to make a drum shell from solid wood. And it will be able to stand up to a real beating.
I don't ever slow up. up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.